Welcome to this episode of Sunny's Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Harbinder Khera. Harbinder is the founder and CEO of Mindmatrix, an industry leader in direct and channel enablement software. With over 20 years' experience, he has provided IT consulting services to many companies, including Southwest Airlines, Nationwide Insurance, Citibank, and IBM. Harbinder provides us with incredible insight into his leadership values and life experiences that have helped him to not only succeed in the tech industry, but also excel as a leader that you want to work for. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kaila. Over to you, Sunny.
Hi, Harbinder. Thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast, and I truly appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome, Sunny. I'm excited to be on your podcast. This is a very exciting opportunity, so I'm happy to be on it.
Thank you. And Harbinder, you are running a global company. You are the global CEO of Mindmatrix, which is based out of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and you have global offices as well. And congratulations, first of all, on your success, your entrepreneurial success. You have built a great brand, and especially in this MSP channel, everyone knows Mindmatrix, everyone knows Harbinder. You have done a great job culturally, building that culture at Mindmatrix, and in the channel, building that brand. And I am so interested in your origin story. How did you start Mindmatrix? What made you kind of come up with this idea and with this marketing automation leadership that you're providing to MSP channel especially. So I'm interested in your origin story. Can you please share that with us?
Sure. Sunny, this is really a very long story, but I'm going to shorten it up a little bit. As you can see, I'm the first generation immigrant. So moved to this country almost, I would say 30 years ago. And, as you know, I'm the place native, in North India, a place called Patiala. So it starts with Patiala, and I'm in Pittsburgh today as two P's. 30 years later. But the interesting thing is, as Sunny, you correctly pointed out, so I have Mindmatrix, and we started another company, MSP Advantage program, that's part of Mindmatrix. My roots, I'm actually an engineer. So when I came to this country, I did my first master's in computer engineering, then went on and did my second master's in computer science and MBA, worked for a consulting firm, worked for IBM. So I'm actually, and originally I used to develop device drivers for OS2.
Wow, I didn't know.
So I'm actually in a true sense, I'm actually a geek. Okay. Now, as a geek, to all the way to an entrepreneur, started a company on Mindmatrix almost 23 years ago. And so today we have over 400, enterprise clients worldwide. We're supporting them. And so on our platform, we have over 25,000 MSPs who are using our product and services. Now, being a technical person, as you can see, the hardcore programmer, IT person, and all the way to running a company and working with MSPs, I can really relate to, where MSPs are coming from because they share the similar background, and helping them, enabling them from sales and marketing perspective. That's the key. And that's really why, when I started the company and we heavily invested in sales and marketing automation and some of the best practices with the things that I have learned, through this entrepreneurship experience. And we're trying to share some of the best practices and helping MSPs to be more successful in sales and marketing. So that's really who I am. And I thought maybe it'd be very helpful coming from a guy from an IT perspective and an engineer perspective versus somebody from, who is a true sales and marketer. And so I thought maybe I can bring a different perspective to this conversation today.
Awesome. So you mentioned two P's. I'm going to add one more P, which is Punjab. So Patiala in Punjab to Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. Actually, four P's.
Yeah.
So,
and MSP,
yes, and yeah,
and 5 Ps.
so thank you for sharing that, Harbinder. What inspired you, first of all, like you being an engineer, and you're right, a lot of MSP owners have engineering background. These are technical professionals, engineers, infrastructure engineers, where they kind of, that is their background, and they started their MSP businesses. And so I want to ask you, what inspired you to start this entrepreneurial journey? That entrepreneurial spirit was always there. So can you talk to me a little bit about how did you start?
Sure. That's actually a very interesting question. And, from day one, from a long time back, I remember I always wanted to have face in the crowd. Okay. And I also wanted to create something my own as an engineer. For me, the important thing is that when you think about satisfaction, is to create something.
Yeah.
Okay? And you create something, and somebody recognize your creation and say, "Wow, this is great. We like what you do." It doesn't matter about the price and what they pay you. That could be maybe even $1. That's really immaterial. Is the journey itself is priceless. So you create something and somebody pays even $1 for it, but at the end they say, "Wow, we really like what you have done." The journey itself is priceless, and it's over 23 years I crave for that experience. Okay, that emotion that I get, the energy that I get out of this journey. So that's really always been the driving factor. So I never really cared about the outcomes, in a sense, from, if you look at a typical business, you want to make money, money, money. That's great. It's a great, to me, is focus on what you enjoy and creating value in something, creating something different. The money becomes the byproduct of it. If you lead with this, that's why if you think about the journey of Mindmatrix 23 years ago, I literally bootstrapped Mindmatrix. Unlike some of the paths that other companies, tech companies, take in our space, there's so much money. People want to invest. I get calls every day. "Hey, you want to raise money for your business?" No, I bootstrapped it 23 years ago. This is really the time the dotcom bust happened. I went through the dotcom bust as a business, and I had many opportunities to shut it down and do something else. I didn't want to do it because I had the idea having one platform that does the sales and marketing enablement. That's something we're going to get into in a second. And that is really, I wanted to have it, and I didn't want to shut it down. Then the real estate bust happened. I didn't want to do it at that time. And so that is what really has driven me to where I am today, is that energy and the passion to make my idea into something more meaningful. If I was chasing money when I started the company 23 years ago, I will not be here. I would have done something else. I would be probably either working for someone else and not doing exactly what I'm doing today. So that's important. Follow your passion and try to be good at it. Enjoy it. Money will come as the byproduct of this. Is my advice to all the fellow IT people listening to this podcast today. Just follow that.
Yeah.
We focus on MRR, we focus on what we need to do, optimizing. That is part of the big business, trying to be more smart about how you run your company. But at the end, inside you feel the main thing is, are you enjoying what you're doing?
Yeah.
Are you really helping and trying to have an impact in your local market, in the customers that you're serving? That's really what it boils down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's so beautiful, that keeping that purpose and the impact that you want to make. And so glad to hear that it's bigger purpose. And I know you personally as well, Harbinder. You're a great human being with very strong core values, and really at the end of the day, that humanity at the top. And I want to talk a little bit about your culture to start with. Mindmatrix culture, because you driving this from your heart and with that passion that you just discussed, and you mentioned that it's not just for money, it's making a difference, making that bigger impact. And not only externally you do that, because I know you personally, you are also very intentional about your people internally as well to serve them right. So if you have to describe like a brief description of Mindmatrix culture, how do you lead?
So it's a lot of elements to this. As personally as me, I have faith in God. I always believed in one thing all my life. As a human being, and this is what I tell my employees, your job and my job is to put your 1,000% in anything you do. You're selling, developing a product, taking care of your clients, our clients, anything you do. Give your 1,000%. When you go back to your house and start to sleep at night, and the question is, have you done your 100%? If the answer is yes, don't worry about the results. Okay? Because one thing I've realized being in 23 years in business, there are a lot of gray areas in business, a lot of gray areas in life. Okay? As a human being, you work hard, put your 100%, and leave the results to God.
Amazing.
That's it. That is the one we can do. So that is really the one thing I ask them. I said, put your 100%, whatever you're doing. If you're not, that means you're not doing it justice, either to business, to yourself. Try to give 100%. Okay. Second, that's one of the key things that I try to drive in everybody in my office. Second, try to be fair. I try to be fair to everybody. Fair to customers from a pricing perspective. When I sometimes see that people would charge so much, my pricing and the services that we offer, I try to be fair and reasonable. I'm fair to employees, try to be fair across the board. Because at the end of the day, that's really what, again, as an employer, what drives me, money doesn't drive me. What drives me, creating something and have an equity, everybody treated well and taken care of, that really drives me. So to me, the fairness is the second aspect. If the employees are really working, and working hard and doing, and obviously the smartness part, let's say we can help and make sure the processes in place too, but the attitude is there to really put in 100%. I have people who come in, there are a lot of people in my business that never went to college, but they're smart. They're willing to work hard. They put 1,000%. To me, perfect. It's the great attitude. Having that attitude is the key. The rest, everything you can train people. That's how I look at when I look at my employees across the board, and and customers. We're trying to be fair. If we as a business, everybody make mistakes, and I made mistakes, and I still do make mistakes, and we do still make mistakes. The question is, when we make mistakes, recognize it quickly, acknowledge it, fix it. Okay. And not just saying, hey, this is not our problem. This is a customer problem or somebody else's. No. If it's something that you have to, it's your fault, take the responsibility.
Yeah.
Quickly act on it and fix it.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that do your best, the fairness and doing the right thing, right, and adding value. And I see that whenever I needed help and I reached out to you as a friend, as someone, a fellow channel partner, you're always there, and you always show that go-giver's spirit. That is okay. It's not money driven. It's mainly okay. How can I help you? And how can I add value to you? And I personally see that. And when, you have helped me with using some of your team members just to kind of give me that help. The recent example where I needed some help with some advice on UI UX side, and the people that I interacted with, you see, just talking to the people, that how their overall mindset to add value and to kind of really do the right thing and being those go-givers, and you see the culture. So you have built a great culture, which is based on that fairness, doing your best, learning from mistakes, admitting those mistakes. So thank you for sharing that. Now let's get into our your domain expertise, which is the marketing being the domain, and you have not only provided thought leadership to the channel in on this subject, you also created a system to help them, empower them, enable them to taking that thought leadership, that knowledge, and using the tool which is built on these best practices. Because in any business, you need people, you need systems, and you need leadership. So you are providing that thought leadership. I have seen you in a lot of these different trade shows, speaking, giving that, sharing what you have, in terms of your knowledge base and best practices as an expert, and providing that tool. So a lot of our MSP friends, our fellow MSP business owners, entrepreneurs, they normally, what I see in my peer groups and people that I interacted with, they always struggle with building an effective self-managed marketing engine. And I want to talk to you a little bit on that what is your advice to MSP businesses where they are struggling to have a well-oiled marketing engine? What is your advice to them?
Sure. A couple of things. The first thing I said, I've been in this space for 23 years. So I have seen how the industry has evolved, sales and marketing. And all my fellow MSP friends and people who are using our service, not using it, one of the things everybody has realized, the role of marketing and sales has changed. Okay. Marketing is responsible for selling. Okay. And sales is responsible for closing. Okay. It used to be the sales is 100% responsible for selling and closing. Now the marketing does a lot of the selling, and the sales person's responsibility is to close the deal. Yeah. And I'm going to end the conversation we're going to have today, everything about sales and marketing, I'm going to just revolve around this topic. Okay. Because when you think about a sales process, typically it's a very non-linear journey. You have a prospect you're trying to target, and the why I say the marketing is actually responsible for selling, because let's say you're an MSP in a local market, and people, the first thing they do when I'm a doctor's office, I'm looking for somebody, I have a problem with my network, I will go online and look for IT support services in Pittsburgh. So guess what? Depending upon how your SEO and how the AdWords are running, and so you're going to see 5 or 10 of different companies in the market. The first thing, what do? You start calling them because you have a problem in your network, or you need somebody to help you with the backup or whatever IT problems you're facing. So basically what marketing has done has brought you up in the first 3-4 slots. Okay. So now they're going to go and look at your website and say, oh, okay, I'm doctor's office, but you guys were positioned to doctor's office. That does make sense. This is great. Okay, awesome. So let me see what else you guys can help me. So, you guys do backup recovery, and that's awesome. Great. So marketing is doing the job, not sales. The salesperson is not involved. Now, in this case, the salesperson may be you as an MSP, the owner of the business, or you have a part-time person working for you. But at this point, they're not interacting with you. They're touching with marketing. Marketing is selling. Yeah. Now, at that point, they're going to pick up the phone and going to call you or send you an email. Now, it's the salesperson's responsibility. That's your responsibility, I would say, to actually build the trust and to show that you know that space and to close the deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so this journey where the lead has come in, all the way that has come to you, and how do you go about closing that deal? There are a lot of things involved in that. Okay. And I want to touch upon some of those aspects which part of today's conversation. So I want to
get some clarity because this is very unconventional and very innovative. What you just mentioned, marketing is to sell and sales is to close. Can you elaborate on that? Because what I have seen personally is that there's always some tension between marketing and sales. and that, oh, I'm producing more leads and sales is not doing their job, or sales is, so there's a lot of challenges are there. And sometimes people, what I see is that MSP owners, they will have a hard time drawing that line with what is marketing person's responsibility and what is salesperson's responsibility. And this simplifies everything. Marketing is to sell and sales is to close. Can you talk to us a little bit more to bring clarity on this idea that you just shared?
Sure. So when you think about a typical sales process, we have seen, all of us gone to many trade shows and meetings. We talk about funnel. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a pyramid. Okay. Yeah. Inverted pyramid. So you have sales, marketing on top, responsible for lead gen, flows into the bottom. There's a sales at the bottom, the tip of the pyramid. Okay. Yeah. So when the lead becomes qualified, you pass it on to sales. That's typically the typical process. And it used to be, hey, the sales take over. They said, they always complain. You didn't give us a good lead, a bad lead is not qualified. There's a friction. Now, if you think about what is happening today, that the funnel is inverted, that's fine, but it's a half. So the half funnel goes sales and half is, so marketing is responsible at the end, in closing the deal. Because what happens, going back to the non-linear journey I just talked about, what happens? A prospect never buys the product that they want. Even if you say, I'm looking, but they say, got it. Thank you for the info. Let me get back to you. They go quiet. They go quiet for a month or 2 months. Then they come back to your website again. Okay. Then they start looking at it again because now they have a need. They were inquiring early on, but now they have actual problem. Mm-hmm. Now, when I talk about, so now that somebody's on your website, providing that insight, somebody's on your website looking at asset A, B, and C, content A, B, and C, providing the insight to a sales rep and say, oh, John is looking. Let me call John up. So that is really, as you can see, the important thing here is to understand there has to be a true sales and marketing alignment. You have to have it because half of the world is controlled. How you represent your business is all controlled by marketing. The content, the positioning is all coming from marketing. So, and marketing have to be aligned in terms of how you represent yourself. And the other aspect here is, when I look at sales enablement aspect from MSPs, it really boils down to 3 things: what to say, how to say, and when to say. Okay. How to say, what to say, and when to say. Aligning that piece is important. And so, one of the important things that I want to talk about here is, when you think about, building an effective marketing program or sales enablement program for your business in order to be successful in sales and marketing, the first thing that I want to really focus on is since we're talking about marketing, is building a clean list. Okay. It used to be that you can go to Info USA, get a list and start doing marketing. Because of, but in order to drive the real engagement with your prospects, so one of the things we're advising now is, try to clean up your list where you're actually reaching out to your prospect and asking them questions about their business. Who you are, what do you do, what do you sell? And they may not be ready to buy at this point. I say, great, we understand. We're not selling you, but helping you, giving advice. And so if anything you can look into, thank you. And is it possible that we can keep in touch with you to share some information about best practices and ransomware, what's happening in backup, disaster recovery, security? Let's keep in touch. We want to, they say, yep, sure. If you can start building that list from ground up, that drives really good engagement with your prospects. They're not your customers yet. Now they're going to open your emails, your newsletters. Now you got them. One day they have a problem, they're going to reach out to you. So that'll be my first recommendation to really focus on, and they're going to start interacting with your web assets, email assets, social assets. One of the things we talked about is social engagement. So once you do that, go on LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn connection with that person, prospect, as you're posting stuff on LinkedIn. So you're doing a multi-dimensional tactics, campaigns to interact with your prospect. They're not your customer yet, but again, we're interacting with your prospects. Now, another important aspect that's really I want to touch upon is from marketing perspective. Marketing does not stop, or should not stop, after somebody has become your customer. okay, it should continue on. So when you think about it as a pyramid, it's more like a prism. It's not a prism. It's more like the funnel tube. Thinking about a word here. So it's basically, so what happens after they become your customer, you got to still continue to engage with them on the marketing front. And that is to upsell, cross-sell, and drive the engagement. So they still need to know, yes, they're using a service, but you're still a thought leader in the market. You continue to be the thought leader in the market. They're not partnered with somebody who actually just a one-time, trick pony has fixed something, but they understand not only you can help them, because as you know, in any business, so you're helping them with the backup today, tomorrow you're helping with the security, and then the disaster recovery, and now one day you're helping with the whole infrastructure, helping them to go from on-prem, if they have any solution, to go 100% cloud. There's many things that you can help them. But again, marketing doesn't need to get stopped after the sales has happened. So that's my one feedback. And so keep the marketing engaged. As you can see, marketing is building, helping you convert from a prospect to a customer, and then it helping you retain that customer, and also driving the engagement with the existing customer. So that's the first part. The second part is, this is really an important part, is, and I look at MSPs all the time. Some MSPs are really small. Some MSPs have one half part-time marketing person, one salesperson, and then some, 10%, 15% MSPs have grown, obviously, and they have teams in place, sales teams and marketing teams in place. And as interesting thing is, I see this across the board, not just with the small, but I see with the large MSPs, that if we don't have a process in place from a lead to revenue, and as a lead is being passed to a salesperson, and the lead is not properly followed up, there's no proper cadence, a process and structure in place to follow up with that lead. What happens? You have a lot of leads, the marketing list, they're marketing a wonderful job. If you think about it, all our MSPs go to all these different events, and we all talk about marketing. What is the biggest challenge? Is marketing. Yeah, we need more leads, and spend a lot of money, lunch and learns, and all the shows and BNI meetings and they go to. I think the biggest problem is there's no proper follow-up to leads. There's no process in place to follow up with those leads they just collected. Now, what happens is you spend all the money in lead acquisition, do Google AdWords, and you do that. And let's say you spend a lot, and then you pass it on to your salesperson. And the salesperson makes one or two phone calls, and that's the end of it. And some leads he never follows up because the process is not in place from lead to revenue. A tighter process not in place. No triggers and boundaries, guardrails set up. So what happens? The lead acquisition cost goes up because you have created at the bottom, we call leaky funnel. You got a lot of leads, some leads disappear, but the money that you spend on those leads still count for lead acquisition cost. Your customer acquisition cost goes up. And so the important thing is, when every lead gotta be touched for, let's say, 15 touch points, 16, your salesperson, either it's you as an MSP, which I'm sure is a hard time following up with the lead. That's another problem that we're gonna, if we have time, that's a totally separate topic to discuss, that if you're the owner and the sales rep and the marketing person, how do you keep up with the leads? How do you do that? Because again, the nice thing is nowadays there's a lot of tools in place, like ours, where you allow you to manage the leads in a sense that can build a cadence and a process around it, so that help you be on top of it. But the advice here is, look at the process, how the lead is coming in, how the sales rep, if you're part-time, you have a team in place. Are they really following up with the leads? Is there a proper cadence in place to do that? So that is really the second big point that I want to talk about. Focus on the process, buttoning that up, make sure there's not a lead leakage happening anywhere from top to bottom. And that could be between systems. You may be using ConnectWise or Autotask or any other system. And then your sales guys have fallen up and the lead is coming in. So make sure the systems are interconnected. So there's no drop, that you may be using MindMatrix or some of the platform or Infusionsoft or something in the middle and is not properly connected with your CRM. There's no data flow, there's no information flow going on, and you may have a lead leakage and you're gonna lose some money in a sense that there's a cost of customer acquisition goes up. Okay. So that is really the second part. The third part, this is really goes back to, we're all working in the business, not on the business. As an owner, this always, you're trying to fix a lot of customer issues, resolve that, and you never get a time to really focus on sales. Okay. So the important thing is obviously you need to focus on the sales. That's when the leads are being passed, the really bottom of the funnel. And I can only give one advice over the years that I've seen is being, you create a process, either yourself or your team, and make sure that you're following it, and you're persistent about it, you're doing it, and you make this repeatable and create a discipline. And you say, I'm a busy day. I'm going to do a running around taking care of my customers, but I have 3 to 4 of what certain time. I want to make sure the leads have come in. I'm going to make sure that I call all those leads, call them, touch upon them, whatever I got to do. This is the process I follow every day. If you're the owner yourself, but if you have a sales rep, make sure there's a metrics and things in place for how many calls that you make, as a sales rep. And here's an advice, because Mindmatrix, we have a huge team of BDRs and everybody. And I've seen the sales reps, people hire, they're making 50, 80, 60 calls a day. To me, it's such a low number. Okay. I expect my BDR team, and we use our tools and automation, at least make 180 connects a day. More connects, more people you're going to talk to, more conversations you're going to have. That is the expectation. And, and I have managed the BDR team, the sales reps, and the people say, they're busy doing other things. But a lot of other things could be automated, streamlined. In today's world, and I will say, we live in a digital world. Zoom sessions and email marketing and social, where people are missing that human-to-human interaction and connection. And that's why in today's world, having a talk and conversation with somebody on the phone is equally important. Because you may have marketing automation tools that can really super personalizing emails, having one-to-one communication. But at the end, it really boils down to you picking up the phone, disrupting somebody's day, and they have 2 minutes, they can listen to you and say, all right, John, I'm going to give you some time. Let's talk, have a meeting. That's important. And now at that point, you can act as a consultant. People, I read an article, this is like almost 20 years ago when I was starting, and again, going back to my roots as an IT person. What is attractive is knowledge. So, and we talk about this, concept of attraction marketing. People are attracted to other companies or businesses or people as human beings who are knowledgeable, who give information, help them be a better person, better at their business. And once they're attracted to you at that level, then people will like to do business with you, because that brings the attraction, brings the trust, and they have respect. And now they know they're not basically going after the money, but they know that you're trying to help them. So think about on those lines, when you see a doctor's office and he's first meeting, a second meeting, educate them, enable them, tell them what is out there, how they can save money, and walk away from it. Let them come back and say, John, that was really good. Can you help us with A, B, and C? We're really having the problem. So acting as a consultative selling, thinking about you giving knowledge, so think about, and the sales becomes the byproduct of it because they want to work with you. That'll be my third advice here. So,
Awesome.
That's it, Sunny. There's a lot more to it, but I think the time is little, but I think hopefully people listening to me today, hopefully can get some benefit out of this conversation.
No, it's amazing. Those are very, very kind of really important, very crucial points to focus on. So you talked about the lead list, the clean list. So having that, and then another piece that was really, really critical for me, like when I was listening to you talk about the list, and you also mentioned that, okay, the marketing person's job is not ending with the deal closing, but you have to constantly engage that person, that customer. Now they are not like prospect, their customer, but that continuation there. How can marketing be that retention partner and cross-selling and upselling partner? That was really, really, very powerful. And the second, in terms of the the value in terms of leakage that you talked about, that okay, a lot of leakage happens, and where your cost to acquire that customer goes up. So focusing there, because that is really that will kind of add to your bottom line if you are more efficient there. And last but not the least, that having that little bit of the overall brand and the message, where you are taking a very educational approach, where dental offices, they know what's happening in their world, or you are kind of helping them get clarity on as a trusted advisor, that consultative approach that you just mentioned, that is like trusted advice of that MSP to that small business, that dental office, that this is where things are going in the technology landscape, especially in their particular vertical. So you are educating them what that future looks like, and you are that forward thinker, where as a domain experts and technology domain expert for that small business, you are more of taking their VCIO responsibilities and really guiding that business in terms of their strategy. Being that strategic partner there was very powerful that you shared. Thank you so much. But I have a follow-up question from your last point when you talked about your PARs, your BDRs. So I hear different numbers, that this is the right number, or this is the average, this is the industry benchmark. But you mentioned 180, and to me, what I know overall from the benchmarking in the MSP, being part of some peer groups, where as a MSP owner, I join those peer groups and I see people, okay, how many calls they should ask their BDR to make. So 180, that seems to me, so I have two questions there. One, it seems to me to me on the high end as compared in reference to what I hear from these MSP owners. So that's question one. That what's your advice, that is that something that's more like a SMART goal, means a specific, measurable, attainable criteria is covered for that person. And the second question I have, which is related to that, is in the now norm that we call it, Harbinder, a lot of people are working from home. Like even for me, it's more Teams usage or my Zoom usage rather than my telephone usage. So when I'm making call as a BDR, what we are experiencing internally here is that if our success ratio from that connect attempt that we make to having a conversation, via phone, is low, because a lot of these office extensions, whatever happened, people probably try to take it home, but a lot of people are more used to the Teams communication and other modes of communication. So do you see anything different with your BDRs, that when they used to make 180 attempts in terms of connects and their success ratio, versus now in this remote workforce that is there, even decision makers are remote, do you see any variance in terms of what they used to have success with, and what do they see as success right now? So can you elaborate on those 2 points?
Sure. Sunny, you were asking a lot of questions and a lot of things you brought up. And, in terms of benchmarking, and then the benchmarking, how's that benchmarking number has shifted or changed in the COVID times when everybody's virtual, okay? So I'm going to talk about all of these different elements. And as I said, over 23 years, I'm the numbers person. I'm, as an engineer, as you know, I look at it, and I have BDRs that, over 23 years, and we talk about, call connects, how much average time they're spending on every call. So one of the things that, if you think about, is there are tools, and again, we use our own tool, basically, that allows you to click to dial, automate the dropping voicemail. So simple things. And then the emails that they need to send out, follow-up email, the brochure, everything is right there at fingertips in the tool. They click, drop a voicemail. So when you're dropping a voicemail, you're moving on to the next call. It's not like you say, hey, hello, John, I'm so-and-so calling from this MSP VTech solution. It's already pre-recorded. You drop the voicemail. As it's been recorded, you start making the next call. So that process has been eliminated, okay? Mm-hmm. So when I say connects, it is not just the connects calling, but also you're making LinkedIn, you're making email, all these different touch points that you're making in a day, yeah? So our BDRs typically that we see that you can actually, if the list is good, if they have to go and look for the better list and they have to find this, the person has left the company, yes, might initially take some time to build that list. But once the clean list is there, you just falling up with those people. And so it doesn't really, you can easily we have people who are actually making over 200 calls a day, okay? And because, if you think about a simple math, and I really go back to simple math here, if you call somebody, it takes 30 seconds. Click, dial, 30 seconds. If you have a conversation, it's just 2 minutes, okay? So if you just do a simple math, you can actually make around 30 to 40 calls in an hour, click to dial, okay? Literally in 6 hours, you're done calling everybody. Then you have 2 hours for admin work and everything else. You need to regroup on everything else, okay? But that is and yes, it is, people are making more than 200, by the way. So I'm just looking at the number. But I would rather, but the point here is, I just wanted to raise the bar for at least from a thinking perspective. We see we sometimes accept the status quo. Yeah, my peer group, that I have a BDR, somebody who's making 70 calls and he's done. Okay. Why? Let's dissect that. Why is he done by 70? Is it enough 70? As a CEO of the company, I'm not a BDR, but I make over 100 calls a day on different reasons, different to employees, different people, customers, follow-ups, just in general. Okay. So, and so that is one part. So I wanted people to kind of go back, look inwards and say why the numbers are low. And there's an improvement using tools and automation and everything. There's an inefficiency. If the fact is that looking at the Excel file, dialing a number, there's an inefficiency. Now it takes more time to dial somebody. But if you can automate some of that stuff, yes, you can have the efficiency gain. So coming back to the second point, how did the transformation we see with the COVID? So a couple of things. We're still making that many calls today, okay? It's not the numbers have come down, okay? And people have either moved the phones home. People have the same lines being transferred to the home lines. And also if you subscribe to like Zoom Info, they give you the cell phone numbers. They give you the direct numbers. So the key is bypassing the admin. If you can get the direct numbers, because everybody has the VoIP and UCaaS systems in place, voice over IP, integrated telephony. So so even actually, if you talk about Zoom is now an integrated communications provider. So now you can make phone calls. So multi-touch, email, leave a voicemail. So the idea is to have these Zoom calls between the owner. Now the nice thing is, as an owner, especially as an MSP owner, people may not want to see you. They may say, hey, let's do a Zoom call. Where the expectation was that you're going to show up at the office and sit down and go through it. And this is, and you drive across the city and spend an hour coming back and forth. Now think about how much efficiency you can say, all right, sure, let's do a Zoom call. Everybody's using, even the doctors who never got so comfortable using, or office manager because now the kids are using it, now they're using it. They say, sure, let's do a Zoom call. Let's talk about what you can help us. there's a saving there as well. There's a silver lining that I see that how this has transformed the industry. And I was looking at, I think there was a report from Datto, and I think it's from Datto. There's certain industries like healthcare, doctor's office, people that open. Okay, if you're selling to doctor's offices and dialysis centers, they're still open. So people, you can still call. So they can, if you're trying to reach those people, so there is a, so that you can still connect with those people. Now, I'm not sure, Sunny, if I answered your question, but that's really how I see it. But here's one thing that I want somebody to walk away from today's presentation. And I sit on a lot of these calls, and I attend a lot of conferences, CEO presentations, and being a CEO, and and sometimes I say, "Wow, I know this stuff. Yeah, I know this. What a big deal. I know this. Yeah, well, what he's telling me, what I've heard is not a big deal." I agree. And today's what you heard from me, a lot of times it is same thing you've heard many conferences. What I'm telling you today is nothing magical. There's nothing magical. What I want to emphasize here is that A, it's not magical, it's common sense. Okay. Sometimes when we are so much in it, we tend to lose sight of that. Having these meetings and podcasts and interviews, it just resurfaces some of that stuff in forefront and have you focus on it. That's it.
It's a reminder. Okay, no, thank you. You clarified my point so it's more about the dials that you were talking about and different modes of those touch points. So that was really, I see that where calls used to be probably the primary kind of method to reach out to people. Now with the LinkedIn and email and other methods that you can use, and saving a lot of time with the Zoom conversation, that people have that unconditioning that happened now during COVID. That a lot of people, they're open to the idea of even closing that final sale over Zoom. So I see that, and thank you for sharing that. And I have one more question for you, and I know we're running out of time. So, but one more thing. I always get this question that, Sunny, I'm a 20 people MSP. I don't have any marketing person. Who do I hire first, and what skills or competencies and attributes that I should look for when I am putting that job posting out there to hire my first marketing dedicated person internally? And I have this agency, or I'm using this, but I also do need someone in-house where I can delegate my marketing responsibilities as a small business to that person. What is your advice to me as an MSP who is first hire?
It's a very complex, and the reason this is not I wish I can give you an easy, there's an easy answer to this.
Mm-hmm.
I can, I've seen a lot of MSPs, they hire a marketing person because content isn't important. So depending upon, content writing, what the focus is, content writing, or this is the person who can execute your tasks, your task, the marketing, sending email. So, but there are, what is exactly why you want to hire the lead gen? What is this person going to do? Understanding that part, because, there's a creative side of people, and there is a people who are very tactical, and people very strategic. Some people are great content writers, may not be great, they lack strategy, because understanding all the pieces is really hard to find somebody who's a creative, who can graphic design, who can visually design something, and somebody who can package up, then who can knows email marketing, tactical, social, and help you do that. Obviously, I've seen people hire part-timers that can, office manager knows part-time marketing. But the point is, there are companies like Mindmatrix. We offer the outsourced marketing that we provide content and virtual concierge service to take care of that. The problem what I see here is, this is the problem, and we have this MSP Advantage program. We have people sign up. We help them by marketing. Then the challenge comes to whether the hot lead comes in. There's a bunch of leads they need to follow up. The owner does not follow up on time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the challenge is you may have a marketing person. You may hire a part-time and build the list and somehow scrub the list and qualify the list. It's really what I talked about early on. What is going to happen next? Are you, as the owner, because you're starting from ground zero, you hire the first hire as the marketing. What are you going to do with the lead? Do you have the time to follow up with the lead? If you don't have the time, don't hire the marketing person, then you're wasting money. Okay, if you say, yes, I have the time, I have the process in place, and I'm going to do it, and I have the rigor and the process and persistence to make this happen. If you have all that, then we can talk about hiring a marketing person. There's so many different ways you can do that. So my advice will be start bottom up.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can find somebody who can actually, because BDR usually, another important thing I want to talk about is the BDR function, a lot of companies is part of marketing. Qualified lead generation is part of the marketing function. I know, Sunny, you and I have talked about this before. Okay. And some people not consider this a sales function, but they consider it as a marketing function. Okay. So I would really start with that. And the question is getting the appointment set. And let this person can do phone calls, appointments, and also a simple execution of email tasks, and have somebody, if you content, have somebody who can provide you the content and look at the technical task, but having the appointment set, and then you can follow up on the actual appointment. That, to me, I will approach it a little bit differently, because I know people will hire a marketing person and the leads sit there and say, all right, I don't have enough appointments to go after because they have not called any of those leads. That's what really I see the problem.
Thank you so much, Harbinder. I appreciate your time. Wow. Very, very valuable insights. And thank you so much for sharing your entrepreneurial journey and that marketing kind of best practices that you have. Not only, that is your domain, and you are the thought leader in the channel. And I appreciate you coming to my podcast and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny, for having me. So please call me anytime you want me to hear from me. So thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Harbinder.